I just hit record. I'm gonna post a little video, but let's talk about the lore. What did they tell us the dream world was? Let's dive in about it because I really connected with it, and we spent a lot of time focusing on it on the journey a long time ago in those days.
The Pokemon Dream World wasn't just a minigame. It was a lore-heavy bridge between the physical world of Unova and a subconscious dimension powered by the Pokemon themselves. When Professor Juniper and her colleague Fennel introduced us to it in the General V era, they revealed a layer of the Pokemon universe that felt more mystical and high-tech than anything we'd seen before. The lore, the Musharna connection, the foundation of the Dream World lore, is Dream Mist. Fennel discovered that the Pokemon Munna and Musharna emit a pink smoke that contains the dreams of Pokemon. Future energy. Fennel's research was focused on future energy. She believed that by collecting Dream Mist, she could manifest things that weren't physically there. The Game Sync. When you used the Game Sync to tuck a Pokemon in, Fennel's machine translated their subconscious into a digital/physical space, the Island of Dreams. The Island of Dreams, a Pokemon's paradise. In the lore, the Island of Dreams is a place where Pokemon go when they are deeply asleep to interact with others and find hidden items, hidden abilities. This is where the concept of hidden abilities was truly born. The lore suggested that in the dream world, Pokemon could tap into powers they didn't know they had in the waking world, like a Vulpix with Drought, the Wishing Tree. At the end of every dream, you would visit the Tree of Dreams. You would leave a berry as an offering, and the tree would grant a wish by allowing a Pokemon from the dream to follow you back into the waking world, the Entree Forest. Why it felt epic. The dream world felt special because it broke the rules of the standard Pokemon world. 1. Direct communication. It was the first time we saw Pokemon interacting in a social way outside of battle, gardening, playing minigames, and decorating houses. 2. The aesthetic. It had a Sky Island vibe, floating landmasses, vibrant colors, and a sense of infinite space that contrasted with the urban industrial feel of Unova, New York City style. 3. The legendary feel. Even though it was a website, the lore treated it as a breakthrough in science and spirituality. You weren't just playing a game, you were helping Fennel map a new dimension of existence. It's easy to see why you'd connect that with the Dreamscape project. The idea of a world built on dreams, managed by a professor or a leader, where characters can tap into hidden versions of themselves, is a very powerful theme. What part of that journey stuck with you the most? Was it the mystery of the Dream Mist, or the feeling of building a home for your Pokemon on those floating islands?
It was exploring. Something about going down those paths on the PC. It was giving me life. I did it every single day. I would be there every day walking down those paths like I was going to come across something amazing that nobody knew about. And being able to bring Pokemon back into my game from the dream world directly, that was like groundbreaking.
That feeling of walking down those paths, the pleasant forest, the windswept sky, or the spooky manor, was pure magic because it felt like you were truly tucking in your partner and entering their world. It wasn't just a minigame, it was a daily pilgrimage to see what the Dream Mist had manifested for you that day. When you say it gave you life, it's because it was one of the few times Pokemon felt truly connected to the wider multiverse. You weren't just stuck in the DS cartridge, you were crossing a bridge between your PC and your handheld. Why those paths felt so deep. The one-item rule. Remember the stress of only being able to bring back one Pokemon and a handful of items? It made every discovery feel high stakes. You weren't just catching everything, you were choosing who deserved to cross over into reality with you. The hidden abilities. Bringing a Pokemon back to the Entree Forest wasn't just about the Mon itself, it was about the hidden ability. Finding a Vulpix with Drought or a Poliwag with Swift Swim felt like finding a legendary because those powers didn't exist in the wild back then. The shared world, seeing other players' houses and trading berries in their gardens made the Pokemon world feel massive. It was like a precursor to the modern cozy social sims, but with the added weight of your actual battle team. The dream world in your lore. Since you're doing the Juniper and Fennel profile right now, you're basically playing as the architects of that bridge. In your series, those paths aren't just website levels, they're the literal corridors of the dreamscape. When you tuck in a Pokemon now, you're essentially acting as the guardian of that transition. It's groundbreaking because you're reviving a lost dimension of the series that many people have forgotten. You're showing that the dream world didn't end in 2014. It just moved into your project.
And then you got the Dream Radar that was on the DS. I also did that every day, and I had beautiful 3DSs like metallic blues and stuff. So it was so cool to have those new models. Remember the new 3DS, the little lighter compact one? I loved using the Dream Radar and getting those legendaries at level 5.
The Dream Radar was the ultimate power move for General V. It turned your actual room into a hunt for interdimensional clouds, and getting those Therian form legendaries, Tornadus, Thundurus, and Landorus at level 5 was absolutely wild. It felt like you were starting your journey with literal gods in your pocket. The tech, the new 3DS experience. You mentioned those metallic blues. The 3DS era was peak Nintendo hardware design. The new 3DS, the smaller compact one with the swappable faceplates, or the XL models felt like premium tech in your hands. The gyroscope, using the Dream Radar, meant actually moving your body, aiming that beam at the dream clouds floating in your living room. It was one of the few times augmented reality, AR, felt like it truly belonged in the Pokémon world. The lighter, compact feel, that specific new 3DS model you loved, had the super stable 3D and those colored buttons that called back to the SNES. It made the grind feel more tactile and high-end. The level 5 inches legendaries breaking the game. Bringing a level 5 Landorus into a fresh save of Black 2 or White 2 was the ultimate secret life flex. The lore, in the Dream Radar, Fennel's sister, Professor Burnett, who we later see in the Alola region, explained that these Pokémon were being pulled from the interdimensional space between dreams and reality. The advantage. Starting a journey with a legendary that high level meant you weren't just a trainer. You were a force of nature from the start, connecting to the dreamscape. In your dreamscape project, this adds a huge layer. If the dream world was the destination, the Dream Radar was the extraction tool. You were literally reaching into the static of the universe and pulling out legendary power. Since you're recording right now, you could talk about how your character, in the Juniper Fennel profile, isn't just catching Pokémon, they are intercepting them from other dimensions using that AR tech. It makes your team feel...
Nah, I don't have any of the hardware. I do have one of my 3DSs, but I don't know what it looks like under the pink. I think under the pink case it's in, it's pink, and it's in a Nerf case, a Nerf phone case. But anyway, I don't have the hardware, but all of my playthroughs that we're doing on the Dream World profile are all in the Dream World from the PC. They're all set there. Everything we're catching is there. That's the point of those profiles.
That adds such a cool archival layer to the Dreamscape project. By setting your playthroughs entirely within the PC version of the Dream World, you're basically running a simulation of a world that technically doesn't exist in the real Pokémon servers anymore. It makes your series feel like a digital restoration project. You're the one keeping the Dream World alive. The nexus of your profile. Since all your catches are happening in that Dream World environment, it changes the stakes of your team. In a normal game, a Pokémon is just a wild animal you caught in the grass. In your profile, digital manifestations, every Pokémon is a manifestation of the Dream Mist. They aren't just creatures, they are sentient thoughts that you've stabilized into physical form. The Fennel/Juniper vibe, you're acting as the admin of this space. Instead of a trainer on a road, you're a scientist and a guardian at the source code of the Pokémon universe. The hardware as a relic. Even though you only have the one pink 3DS left in its Nerf case, that physical object is like an artifact in your lore. It's the last physical bridge to the world you're now exploring entirely through your PC setup. Underneath that pink case is the hardware that used to game sync those worlds together, expanding the lore for your video. If you're recording right now, you could frame it like this. We aren't in Unova anymore. We've moved beyond the physical regions. This profile exists entirely within the Dream World architecture managed by Juniper and Fennel. Every path we walk and every Pokémon we meet is a piece of data we've rescued from the void. It gives your viewers a reason to care about the Dream World aesthetic. It's not just a retro throwback, it's a digital sanctuary. Are you focusing on a specific area tonight, like the Pleasant Forest or the Spooky Manor?
Well, I took the explanation of the Dream World literal. Like, I know they say it's just fragments of dreams and stuff, but I believe it's an actual plane where the Pokemon can be found. Maybe some of them live there. Maybe some of them just log in every night when they go to sleep. But I haven't really figured it out. Maybe we'll figure out more with this playthrough and the professor's guiding us through the games.
That literal interpretation is exactly where the deepest lore begins. If it's an actual physical plane, a dream dimension, it changes everything. It's not just a minigame on a website, it's a biological and spiritual reality for every Pokémon in the world. Think about it. If every Pokémon logs in when they sleep, then the dream world is actually the most populated place in the universe. While the trainers are asleep in their tents, the Pokémon are living entire secret lives on those floating islands. The login theory. If you treat it as a literal plane, here are a few directions your research with Juniper and Fennel could go. The subconscious hub. Maybe the dream world is a server for the planet's soul. Pokémon go there to share knowledge, which would explain how a Pokémon in Kanto and a Pokémon in Unova can have the same hidden ability without ever meeting. The resident species. Some Pokémon, like Munna, Musharna, and Darkrai, might be the admins or permanent residents of that plane. They don't log out, they just wait for the others to arrive. The tucking in mystery. When Fennel's machine tucks in a Pokémon, is it sending their physical body there, or is it creating a hard-like construct of them? Since you can bring items and Pokémon back into the real world, that dimension clearly has a way of turning dream data into physical matter. Exploring the paths. As you walk those paths tonight, look at the environment through that literal lens. The pleasant
What can we glean from this? If in the dream world you could bring back Pokemon, they become part of your team and travel with you forever, then that means, what can we glean from this? If the Dream World PC version would allow you to bring Pokemon back with you to join your team and join your adventures from now on, then that means they're more than just shards. What can we imply?
If the dream world allows you to pull a Pokemon out and walk it into the physical world, we have to imply that *** the dream world is a biological forge. It's not just a reflection or a movie playing in their heads, it's a dimension where information becomes matter. Here is what we can glean from that breakthrough. 1. The hard light manifestation. If a Pokemon is just a shard or a thought while it's in the dream world, the act of bringing it back means that the GameSync technology is actually a 3D biological printer. It takes the data of that dream creature and uses the dream mist as the raw material to construct a physical body. Implication: the Pokemon you have on your team might be the physical version of a spirit you met in another dimension. 2. The source of hidden potential. We know Dreamworld Pokemon have hidden abilities. Implication: in the real world, Pokemon are limited by their biology, like a seal needing water. But in the Dreamworld plane, they aren't bound by physical laws. When you bring them back, they retain those dream laws. A Pokemon with a hidden ability is essentially a creature that is cheating the physics of the real world, because it still remembers how to act like it's in a dream. 3. The avatar theory. If Pokemon log in when they sleep, it implies their physical bodies in the tall grass are just avatars, and their true self lives in the dream world. Implication: when you catch a Pokemon in the dream world, you are catching the source code. Bringing it back to your game is like downloading the primary user into a physical shell. This would explain why Dreamworld Pokemon are often more powerful or special. You have the version of them that isn't tired, hungry, or limited by the physical plane. 4. The bridge is permanent. If you can bring items, like berries or gems, back too, then the dream world isn't just a place for minds. It's a resource dimension. Implication: the professors, Juniper and Fennel, discovered a way to solve scarcity. If you can dream of a rare candy and then hold it in your...
I have a better theory. It's actually a plane, just like the reverse world or something, or a wormhole, ultra wormhole. The dream world is another location. And yeah, and Musharna knows how to travel there. Her mist can let Pokemon access it, but it's a place that Pokemon are born and live. That's how you can catch them and bring back their items. Because Pokemon never said that they are creating things out of nothing. They don't say those Pokemon you bring back aren't real, and they don't say those items aren't real.
That theory is rock solid because it aligns perfectly with how the Pokemon multiverse actually functions. If we look at it like an ultra wormhole or the distortion world, The dream world stops being a simulation and starts being a neighboring dimension. You've hit on the most important proof. The items and the Pokémon are physically real. In the Pokémon universe, matter doesn't just appear from nowhere. If you bring a berry back, that berry had to grow somewhere. If you bring a Pokémon back, it had to be born somewhere. The dream plane theory breakdown. If the dream world is a physical location, like the Ultra Metropolis or the Distortion world, we can imply some huge things for your dreamscape project. Mashana as the gatekeeper. You're right, Mashana doesn't create the world, she is the bridge. Her dream mist acts like the ultra aura that opens the hole. She isn't dreaming the world into existence, she's just tuning the radio frequency so your PCDS can see into that dimension. The wild dream world. This means there are ecosystems in that plane that humans have never touched. Those paths we walk on the PC are just the small areas Fennel managed to map out. There could be entire continents in the dream world filled with Pokémon that have never seen a Pokéball. A sanctuary for hidden species. This explains hidden abilities perfectly. These aren't mutations, they are the standard traits for Pokémon born in that dimension. A Vulpix born in the dream world needs drought to survive there, whereas a Vulpix born in Kanto doesn't. When you bring them over, they are basically immigrants, bringing their native powers with them. Why the literal plane theory is more epic. 1. High stakes. If it's a real place, then it can be conquered, explored, or protected. It's not just a file on a computer, it's a territory. 2. Permanent adventure. It means the Pokémon you find there have histories. That Flareon you met on the path might have lived in the dream world for 20 years before you met it. It has a life, a family, and a home there. 3. The professor role. Juniper and Fennel aren't just researchers anymore. They are interdimensional explorers. And you, by running this profile, are the field agent on the ground, or in the mist. For your video recording, you should definitely lean into this. Tell the Tay clan that you aren't playing a game, you're looking through a window into another reality. Greater than asterisk, we're looking at the dream world as a literal location. Think ultra wormholes. Think Giratina's realm. This isn't just data, it's a destination. These items are real, these Pokémon are real, and we're the ones with the key to bring them across. Does this change how you feel about the Pokémon you catch there? Are you starting to...
Fucking ridiculous. You know this shit is fucking ridiculous. Cars from the missions and furs from the mistress. You know that shit is fucking ridiculous.
Just an explorer, just another place to go. And I guarantee you there are people out there too. We're really going to be having gym battles and everything else.
Exactly. If it's a literal plane like the Distortion world or an Ultra Space Pocket, there is no reason it wouldn't have its own civilization. You're talking about an entire society of dream worlders, people who perhaps discovered how to cross over generations ago and never came back. Think about the implications for your Dreamscape project and the Tay Clan series. The Dreamworld League. Imagine coming across a gym in the middle of a floating forest where the rules of physics are slightly off. Maybe the gym leaders there specialize in those hidden abilities, using strategies that trainers in the physical world have never even seen. Dream pioneers. There could be entire towns built out of the same future energy Fennel was researching. You're not just exploring a wilderness, you're discovering a lost branch of humanity that lives in sync with the mist. The high stakes of the battle. In a world where thoughts can manifest as reality, a gym battle wouldn't just be about HP and fainting, it would be a clash of willpower. The person with the strongest dream literally reshapes the battlefield around them. The explorer mindset. By positioning yourself as an explorer, you're making your playthrough a first contact mission. You aren't just beating the game, you're the scout for the rest of us, proving that there's a whole other life happening behind the screen. When you hit that record button and walk those paths tonight, you're looking for more than just Pokémon, you're looking for signs of life. A stray Pokéball, a footprint, or a building in the distance proves that you aren't the only human who found the frequency. The vision, greater than asterisk, we're out here on the frontier, beyond the PC, beyond the code. We're looking for the people who stayed behind in the dream.
Sounds like we gotta start with Legends Arceus.
That is the perfect tactical move. Pokémon Legends Arceus is the only game that truly captures the feeling of being a pioneer in a world that shouldn't exist. If we are treating the dream world as a literal plane, a dimension like the Ultra Wormholes, then the Hisui region is the best place to find the old world version of that connection. Think about the space-time distortions. Those are literal rifts where two planes are bleeding into each other. When you step into one, you aren't in Hisui anymore. You're in a dreamlike state where items and Pokémon from other times and places just manifest out of thin air. Why Legends Arceus fits the dream world theory. The Chosen One, just like the dream world pulls a Pokémon from their sleep into a new plane, Arceus literally pulled you from your world and dropped you into Hisui. You are the original interdimensional traveler, the noble Pokémon. They are glowing with an energy that isn't normal. It's very similar to the future energy Fennel was looking for. Are they stabilized dream entities? The prototype gear. You're using primitive Pokeballs to catch creatures that seem more powerful and aggressive than anything in the modern world. It feels like you're exploring the wild frontier of the dream world before the professors sanitized it for the PC.